Ladies and gentlemen and Paladins fans everywhere, welcome back to the Paladins Console League. I am Dolson, and next to me on the desk to start off the day is Nick Pretty Hair Keogh. Nick, good to have you.
I know, man. It's good to be here. It's good to be here about 10 minutes early, and I think all the real console-dedicated fans are really out here. And so now we know who the real ones are, and we can, definitely keep a mental note of that going forward.
Absolutely. The real ones are here early, and that's the good way to be. Little April Fools getting us started early off on the day today, but there's some great Console League action to look forward to today. A lot of the teams kind of jostling. I mean, we're only 3 weeks in, so there's lots of movement to be done, but really it's kind of jockeying for some important positions here.
Sure.
We have some good matchups between teams that are pretty close in the brackets.
Yeah, definitely. These two kind of fighting for the best of the rest, little spots here, 3 and 4. And at this point, you're looking at, you're only normally qualifying out the best of the best in these console regions. So if you fall all the way to last place, granted these are a bit longer splits than we've done in the past, but if you're falling too behind too early, then you really risk your spot or your chance at really coming at land, and it's like a mathematical problem for you at a point.
Well, lots of great matchups to look forward to today. Let's jump into the schedule. Starting off, we got Ehrenmanner, hopefully I said that right,
nice
against Stush
job.
Gaming. Flashpoint iTech getting played offline. That's one to look out for the result as well. Viral Bust Down is going to be our second matchup of the day, rounding out our EU portion. That is the one that I believe we all predicted Bust Down on our Esports Weekly show last week. So certainly some good ones, certainly some important ones to look out for on the side of EU. NA on the flip side, you got Heating Up Has-Beens starting off the day for NA PS4. Retaliation E-Storm rounding out the day and rounding out NA as well.
There's way too much orange and gold in NA PS4.
That's right.
Just like, whoa. That was,
Really makes your eyes cross looking at it all at once.
Definitely. Orange is one of those colors.
Right.
One of those colors.
It is one of those colors. The first thing to look at here, Team Viral, I know that's a team that we touched on in Esports Weekly, and they've had sort of a rough go of things to start off here.
They're in a tough region. I mean, it's probably one of the harder regions, if not the hardest region in console, in my opinion.
And it's unfortunate that they have to go against Bust Down. I mean, you have Cyclone in your region. That's never fun to go against. And then today they're going against Bust Down.
And Radiant, right? Is it Radiant as their fourth?
Yeah, Radiant as well.
Like,
so
that's a solid 3, right, that you have to go against. In times past, there's been a really, really strong front runner. A lot of times, usually a number 2 that was kind of in there, but in a lot of cases, not even that, right? So now you have a region that, frankly, has 3 pretty damn solid teams. So to be the 4th place spot in this region is unfortunate for sure.
Yeah, definitely a bummer. But the first one to look at is our first set of the day, I think, is Bust Down. And this is actually we did the predictions on Esports Weekly,
right? And
we had, I think, across the board Bust Down. And when you have players like Dreams, you have players like this constantly making the big plays for you, constantly. This was the Tempest back onto the map that we saw.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that, it's unfortunate that that's sort of what you have to go against. I think Viral's in a good spot. I mean, you are 0-3 in your region, but we have seen them sort of put up a fight on some of these maps. So I think they have a fighting chance today, but I think Bust Down is just too good of a team. I think they'll take this one.
I actually agree with that. I think Bust Down will be able to take this. That's the way my prediction went. They have a lot of guys who I've just kind of watched for a long time, so I know what they can achieve.
Well, let's take a look at our first matchup of the day. On side number 1, you have the team in 3rd place in this region, Ehrenmanner. 2 for 2 on that one.
Ehrenmanner Ultramax.
Ehrenmanner Ultramax. Obviously, previously FTF, now Ehrenmanner. And you have a lineup of Beanie VCon, Ernest, VClax, and Unlimited Fails coming in. And again, this is another one where you're in a region with Flashpoint and iTech.
Yeah.
And those are the top 2 teams that have sort of cemented themselves as 1 and 2 to start things off. But they're certainly not a team to be messed with either. I mean, you're able to find a win in this bracket. That's something to be said, and certainly a strong lineup coming out for them.
Yeah, you need to. If you want, like I said, if you want to ever have a chance at, being that top 2 team, or in Console's case, you really need to be the top team in your console region. You got to start getting these wins, right? If you're going to be in last place, then you mathematically take yourself out of the LAN conversation very early, even in a 13-week phase like this, you can fall out of the race fairly quickly if you're not winning the games, and especially a game that is that kind of like 3 versus 4 position. You need to take these.
And it's tough. I mean, on their side, they have, I think, a three map differential, so they are close in a lot of these games. On the flip side, you have Stush Gaming. Last week, FDOT was a huge fan of theirs. They went up against Flashpoint, fell just short there.
Exactly.
And they are unfortunately 0-3 in the region, so looking to get things started on their side.
But I mean, I believe it was Stone Keep that they came out and they showed something against.
Right,
they had something to say.
Right.
Exactly right. So that is another thing that both these guys, I think, or both these teams are very hungry for this win and are able to compete when they're playing on all cylinders. And I think if even looking at the Premier League this week has showed us anything, it's that it's not always the team with the best players. It's not always history that's going to tell the tale. It's really, this game moves fast. Who's been preparing, who's showing up, and who's playing as a strong 5-man roster. We've had so many teams come in and play with subs that they haven't had much practice with and still do incredible. So that's kind of what I'm looking out for. I think these teams, if they continue to prepare, take themselves seriously and not count themselves out too early, then they can come in and be a competitor.
Definitely, and that's actually a really great way of looking at it. I mean, now is the time where they really need to hit the ground running in order to make a statement, in order to make some moves here in their division. The Stush Gaming roster, ALO, Thompson, Chico, Nico, and Rain, so certainly a roster to look at. But I think set number 1 is going to be a good one. I mean, these are two teams who are very close to each other in the bracket. I mean, two teams who have proven that they sort of belong near each other. Map number 1 is going to be Stone Keep, Frog Isle, Ice Mine, Splitstone Quarry, Serpent Beach getting banned out. So Stone Keep is where we saw Stush Gaming make a statement against Flashpoint last week.
Right.
And Stone Keep is going to be the first map here today. So maybe looking to get off on the right foot is Stush Gaming here.
This is probably just become one of their power picks. And if they can get this one here, these are only those best of 5. So if you can get a lot of momentum built up, and especially if you can take your opponent's map pick as well through the first 2, then I'd say probably about 80% of the time, 90% of the time, you're winning that set anyway. So as we get into the picks here for Stone Keep, it's very important to kind of keep in mind these bans, which have been very kind of standard, cut and dry on console. There's not too much to shake up here. I would say the Drogos is not that standard, actually, though. I would say that does break the mold ever so slightly. These guys have slightly different styles than PC, even the minor league and the Premier League. Premier League and minor league are just very, very tank heavy. And you're seeing a little bit of that here. But look for those Talus, look for Victors, look for Vivians, look for that type of stuff. The Drogos, again, does kind of surprise me to see in the ban phase.
Well, I mean, it's very interesting to see the Talus on the opposite side as well. I know that sort of the console meta is always changing and kind of forming depending on what they see potentially in previous weeks. But, seeing the Drogos and the Talus as well outside of potentially an Inara ban, outside of some of those other frontliner bans is certainly interesting to see. The Vivian, the Khan, coming out to start things off here for Ehrenmanner. Victor and Nara Grover starting things off for Stush. So Stush putting together a pretty solid front line here to start things off.
Yeah, Khan's into one of those front lines that takes a little bit of a step up, I think, on console because of the ability to just track so flawlessly and so effortlessly with one of the only hit scan tanks in the game. Grover as well. You don't pick too many flankers on console, so the compositions tend to be a little bit more mid to close range and closer to Grover. Therefore, so on PC when Grover gets picked, I always talk about how I want to see a certain type of composition to go alongside him to complement it, because he is a really, really strong healer. You just need a comp that is going to realistically be operating somewhat close to him, and I think most of the console compositions are that comp.
Sure. They do wrap it up. Tyra Fernando, 5 up, 5 down for Stush. Ash, Saris, Bomb King, Khan, Vivian on the opposite side. Do you like one over the other at an initial glance?
I actually like Ehrenmanner's composition here, I think, fairly significantly. We'll see how this Fernando-Tyra plays out. Maybe they were watching the Premier League and took a couple notes from there. Tyra's kind of been around a little bit on console, but the Fernando is a little bit surprising.
Well, let's see how it plays out. Game 1 of PCL Week 4 is about to get underway. Stone Keep is the map. Evan and Gore are your casters. Take it away.
Hey everybody, welcome to the cast. It's time to get into Stone Keep, and things are progressing in a nice little way. We're at week 4 here of the console league, and it's cool for me to be back. I've missed the last few traveling, but we're here, ready to get started. And V-Clax, Beanie, it's exciting to see these guys working.
Yeah, I mean, being able to come in, I'd say they're probably the favorite overall in the matchup, but Stush had a really, really solid performance up against Flashpoint. And granted, when you're up against Flashpoint, you're not expected to be able to come out and win, right? You're expected to show the best you can do when you're going up against the top of the region. The fact that they were able to do what they were against Flashpoint was impressive for them. So I'm really actually curious to see how this entire thing will roll out.
Well, it's 0-0 right now. High ground controlled pretty well by Alex. And continuing to spray from the high ground. This Tyra is a question mark. Don't keep, though, a lot of areas where the firebomb like this is going to zone them away. So they may have to use the battle shout defensively just to get out. Nice grenade there, 700 damage onto Unlimited there. And Ernest trying to find his way, trying to find his way back onto the top. They do, but the firebomb could be ready. So this is the moment they have to take advantage of before Tyra gets back.
Trying to just find the high ground. The one thing about Fernando, that was the one thing they were talking about. Tyra goes down. Tyra's not going to be too hot right now. But Fernando's in this weird area where he's kind of an ult machine, even though his shield's still really good, his health's still really good. It's just his damage is nowhere near what it used to be.
Right.
Unfortunately for Ale there, he is going to get taken down. So even though I want to say Stush were holding on for a long point, kind of feels like they've let it slip.
It certainly does. And Stush now trying to find that hold on the point, beating with a nice little battle shout there. Grover just constantly spraying those axes, as Grovers love to do. You know, it's just a tree thing, throwing axes. You see that in any trip to Yellowstone. You know, it's pretty common nowadays in the realm. It started a trend, a little scary trend as well. But at the end of the day, it's still barely anything happened on the point. All of these ults coming out now, very extended fight. Double kill, though, from the Fernando. The Immortal keeps him alive for now, but he goes down finally. And it's the Tyra who's able to come back in and sweep up that kill.
Nico able to get a little bit of the kill on the side. Ash going to be able to slam down the Assert Dominance, so she's going to be immune on the point for a little while. That 93% stalled out here as Clax is just trying to hold on. But unfortunately, he's up against an Nara, and he's under fire. Even when he comes out of this, I don't know if he's going to be able to walk away.
Good healing, though, from the Sarah. She's doing enough, and look at that Clax finding his way to health.
Wow.
And that Sarah is somehow using the divinity that maybe we thought went all to Furia, but no. She kept a little bit of it in that traveling abyss to be able to keep her tank sustained and find this first objective. It's not all over, but it seems like they've finally cemented the zone, and it's 90% and counting. Can the Inara get back on? The Grumpy Bomb's going to be a great zone there. It will be the Fernando charging forward, but he gets blown up immediately, and it looks like this will be it.
She got a seismic crash off, but there's going to be both front lines. Even if you're able to come through and get a couple of kills here, which you do get rid of the healer, but you lost both your front lines, unless Nico is feeling himself right now. I do not see them coming back in and jumping on this point. A little bit longer of a point fight than you normally see, but finally going down towards the side of red.
4 minutes gone by, Gro. That is a very long point fight. And if you're familiar with Paladins, you know that most of these things will get done around 2 minutes, 2 minutes and a half, if you're kind of a longer one. 3 minutes, that's really, really long. And if you get to 3:30, 3:45, which this one did, it says something to me. Whether these teams have their clarity on how they want to take these fights or whether they're being very patient, to me it smells of a set where there's not as much confidence on either side as to how to go ahead and manipulate themselves on this map. It is a first pick map as well, which surprises me. Most point fights at this stage of the game, or at least with this level of we know where we're going, should go by a little faster. But still a lot of contest here in this console league, as we can see.
Well, right now I'm feeling a little bit more confident about the way Bomb King is playing specifically. I think the rest of the team is pretty much doing exactly what their champions need to do. Bomb King is in this area where if he's having, I want to say even just an on-par performance, you're not going to be able to do too much. And you can see he's actually been running King's New Cloak, King's Court, those both at level 4. Those are typically the kind of cards. King's New Cloak can go at level 5, level 4, but it puts you at that 2,400 health mark, keeps you alive a little bit longer. But King's Court has been the big one as of late. Once Reinforced Casing was changed to be the ammo card that it is now, it's just made so much more sense to keep yourself healthy. Every single time you detonate a bomb, you're getting that health back. And having that self-sustain makes these fights a lot easier. And admittedly, if you're able to, like Ernest here, could potentially just go on a rampage.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of conversations that happen around Bomb King, the adjustment of the loadouts and the ability for him to, still have that sustain in terms of the health and the safety that he represents as a character. He is a little thicker, and he does bring that level of damage that needs to be applied to him to really threaten his health pool. It used to be because he just couldn't be CC'd, he had a lot of health. Now it's more of the sustain into the health, into maybe a little bit more ammo. He's operating around this style, but one of the things that, I've even had as a counterpoint, because I thought this card was going to be really strong, Gore, is that he reloads very quickly as well. You can go for Royal Decree and just get super fast reload, and you don't really need the extra ammo. It's not really going to change that much. So it was a little bit underwhelming from what I thought it would be. Great kills from Saris to keep the Vivian alive there.
Just doing whatever they can. Unfortunately, you do lose your Bomb King, and no front lines, no one going to be able to touch. And so even though it was kind of a delayed fight, I feel like that was going so heavily against Stush.
Yeah.
But they finally brought it back right at the very end. Pretty much the only time I guess it truly mattered.
And this is for a 1-1 there, that's 6.5 minutes already gone by.
We've had games end faster.
We've had games end faster than this one round. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and you can see that a lot of it is on Unlimited Fails and this Vivian. 7-2 and 7. And so the ability for that level of, I think, kind of success in this situation means that she's playing very safe, playing very far back. The kills that are happening on these defense, either where a full team is being wiped, or whether it's saying it's a kill that's already kind of been set up to get. Nobody's getting aggressive enough, getting those double, triple kills, which will really cement that point fight. A nice fireball, but it doesn't quite actually hit, so somehow Clips on the ground. Unfortunate there, because that would have been a ton of damage coming from the Fernando.
Doing whatever they can. Clax on the side trying to just hold on to this, but this is actually where I think Crossfire and everything on the side of Stush is going to be able to pile on, but they don't have the Whirlwind. They pop the Immortal. The question is if this Barrage is going to be able to lock down the damage they need, because they just now got their first kill.
I gotta say, Ernest does at least something that I would have hoped to have seen earlier. It's just he goes for some play. They're all standing and looking at each other with shields, with immortality, and now they start to take the point. So unfortunately, Ernest doesn't get what he wants, but he does try to be aggressive, which I like as a sentiment for this squad, because that's how they're going to actually get this game tilting in their favor and get out of the stalemate that it's currently in.
I was actually also surprised to see I want to say lack of Wrecker, which is kind of weird considering what we've seen. Normally, you actually just now, Ernest has gotten it, which I guess is a little typical for a Bomb King, something that we used to see a lot. Cauterize was not typically picked up for him. But to see Unlimited Fails focus on the Cauterize 3, prioritizing that way heavily over the Wrecker is something that we haven't gotten to see out of a Vivian in a while, but it's working out pretty well for him.
Yeah, it definitely is. And now the Fernando and the Victor getting going. There's the Assert Dominance slamming down a couple, find the stuns, and that's another kill. Wow. Oh boy. Ehrenmanner taking this one back, and Ernest falls for the third time in this fight, it feels like. Nico tries to get himself out of that quandary, but Stush Gaming will essentially cede the point back over to Ehrenmanner, and seems like that aggressive play has somehow worked out for them.
And I think you could see there Grover going for the heal on himself. That Blossom just does not quite hit as hard when you have a Cauterize 3 on you, but that is going to allow his team to heal up, come in, jump on the point, and you're going to get stunned out by this bomb. No, just made it out of the range, but unfortunately you lose Nico Noob. You lose a lot of your pushing power in that.
You certainly do. 99 to 99 again. This fight has lasted about 3 minutes thus far, back and forth, but it looks like Ehrenmanner have completely controlled the pace of this one. Even though they aggressively went for it, it's given them the opportunity to really make some plays, and Chico's going to fall a little bit lower, but he's not going to be able to touch down onto the point. It will be Ehrenmanner taking this one, and Clax getting away there just with a little bit of help to spare.
This is that moment where I think you can break through as a team, right? If you want to be able to show, and not even show that you're dominant over the other team, but kind of prove that this game is going the way you need to. Yeah. This push needs to go very heavily in Ehrenmanner, especially with the fact that these point fights have been going very back and forth. They lose one, they come back, and they barely got back in time to be able to grab that. If you want to showcase that you deserve that last point, I feel like this push needs to go through just because of how sloppy it was at the very beginning.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. These teams, to really take this game to the next level for the console teams as well, considering that you've got players like Akate walking through the hall that if you do well enough in console league, at a certain point, you want to prove yourself against the best of the best in the world, and those minor league teams and maybe those PPL teams. So things have to be tighter. You have to have these decision-making processes become more of just second nature rather than consciously thinking about them, because that may be a half a second too late in most other scenarios. However, Ehrenmanner doing a great job pushing thus far, and they've cleared them all back towards the top ledge of Stone Keep Core.
Trying to do whatever they can. 1:12 left. That's plenty of time. Assert dominance up onto the high ground. Going to get a stun. And beautiful bombs from the back line coming down from Ernest. Going to be able to pick up that kill.
Got him. And Ernest gets the kill onto the Grover. Beautiful stuff there. It now looks to be the rain falling as well. And this isn't the type that keeps you nice and cool on a hot summer's day. No monkeys wedding on Stone Keep. It's just a 3-1 for Ehrenmanner.
Streak's burning. They're happy. I love that play. And again, it goes back to what you were saying. Yes, they use 2 ultimates, I believe, to get that, the King Bomb and the Assert Dominance. But you keep an overpower. You have the Sentinels available to be popped. You're about to have a convergence. Like, the damage is still going to be there for this fight. And the control's still going to be there as long as you can get rid of the shield from Fernando. But you're finally getting aggressive. That's the thing they didn't have at the beginning of last round. The thing that was feeling like it was just missing was, cool, you're all, like you said, just standing there looking at each other, shield on shield. This team's immortal. This team's just staring.
Right.
No one can really kill the other.
It's like a Western, but nobody shoots each other in the standoff.
But it turns out they both forgot their bullets. They didn't load the revolver for the duel. That time, they came with a fully loaded revolver, and they fired about 3 of the shots.
And one dude came with an assault rifle, apparently, and that was unlimited fails. Who's on the 5 streak here. Nice overpower, and that's on the healer. That's the most value you could have gotten right there. Manara might have wanted to immediately go for a seismic crash to stun out that team and try to counter-engage, but again, the decision-making is just a little bit too slow. Planning for the inevitable, planning for the worst case, giving the other team credit. It doesn't seem like that was what was happening there. However, I do like the call. Let's fully reset. That happened so early, Gore. Now they can come back with their ults intact and try to counter.
Unfortunately for Nico Noob there, gets caught out in the corner. Don't know how soon it was that they found out that he was sitting there, but the minute Bomb King saw some damage numbers, that's all you needed to know. Okay, cool. There's a Tyra hiding there, and now they've essentially staggered themselves.
Yeah, and then the Whirlwind comes out way too late for the Fernando. And I'm not sure if he had the Immortal available. It just felt like maybe the damage, the pace, it changed so well. I don't know what happened. It feels like they almost heard what I was saying. But immediately, Ehrenmanner go from a very stale first point fight, putting their foot on the gas pedal, and then dominating for the rest of the game. That was really nice to see, actually.
I didn't check the timer at the end, but 9 minutes of that was the first 3 points. It was a round and a half.
Yeah.
And then it felt like they just, again, escalated. It was like, cool, we need a minute to push this, a minute to capture.
I actually really like what I saw there. Ehrenmanner seemed to do what it was lacking in as far as the first point. That shows me that they're resilient, but that also shows me that they're thinking about how to maneuver to win this set and beat this team. Let's send it back to the desk and see what they have to say after Game 1 wraps up.
Thank you very much, guys. Stone Keep is in the books here, and Ernest on the Bomb King.
Yes,
really
sir.
making a name for himself on that one. Constant double kills, constant triple kills, and Ehrenmanner really feels like they found their team fight. A bit of a longer first couple points there, but utilizing the ultimates very well, utilizing the team fight very well, and steamrolled through the final 3 points there.
Yeah, it's part of what was really good, I think, about the overall. It's not something that, honestly, even I really look at when drafting is happening. But once we get into game, and specifically around that second round start of the team fight when the ultimates are, or even in the case of the PPL, sometimes it was that first round team fight. You look at what I call the suite of ultimates. Like, what is your whole picture? What's your whole package look like? And what is your team fight likely to play out based on that? And that's actually kind of something to keep in mind when you're drafting now, I think. And I think Ehrenmanner, at least coincidence or not, came out on top of having a very nice little suite of ultimates there.
Didn't have the top damage, but certainly had some of the top plays is Ernest down there on the Bomb King. Unlimited fails, making his presence felt on the Vivian. I mean, you look at the other side as well. Chico, Rain doing some good damage on their sides, but the slash lines not in their favor this time around. 13-4-15 for the Vivian, 11-6-12 for Ernest. I mean, that's just a 10-2-12 on Khan as well. I mean, that's too much offensive firepower to deal with.
The Khan was, I think, a big part of it. When you have that type of frontline pressure as well as both of your backliners popping off, it's just another angle to be worried about. If this Khan is able to just gun down and keep constant pressure on an Inara, it's not something you're entirely used to. A lot of Innaras will get left alone during these fights as you sort of focus the backline around it, but I thought Bainey did a good job of just target prioritization and realizing that I'm going to always be getting on pressure, whether it is on dumping it into a front line, it's dumping it into a front line, or maybe I can get switched to because I am that hit scan threat, that sole sort of hit scan tank presence, and that's what is partly so unique about Khan.
And he did a really good job there. The last team fight, right before winning the game, you saw the overpower kind of weaving through the rest of the Stush Gaming roster and finding the healer and eliminating that immediately won them the final point and, you know, won them the end of the game. So certainly great target prioritization there coming out from the Khan, but looking forward to game 2. Stush Gaming now need to find a way to stop the bleeding. I don't think it's necessarily a draft issue that they faced. I think that Ehrenmanner on the other side just felt confident in their roster, felt confident in what they had picked, and then really knew how to utilize it.
Yeah, and for me, it's, and this is even true on PC, the Grover is a little bit, I don't know, underwhelming to me. I don't know if it's worth that first pick. I've seen Vivian just be so damn important and so, you know, vocally frustrating to even some of the best console players that I feel like, you know, regardless of the way you feel the champion is balanced or tuned right now, you got to smoke him if you got him when it comes to competitive play like this, when there is stuff on the line. So if Grover is still your guy, he's still your guy. I'm not going to tell you how to kind of, you know, pick and build your entire roster, but it really feels as though that type of pressure from the Vivian, no matter what you pick, almost frontliney, you supporty, that character can just kind of gun through it all on console.
Well, he's still around. He's still on the board here. Drogos and Grok getting taken off the board here. And we saw the Drogos getting banned last time around for Ehrenmanner as well. The Talus was banned out on the other side, but Talus now actually making it through for Ehrenmanner. So potentially, you know, maybe a bit of a target ban for Stush. They banned out the Talus last time, and Ehrenmanner get it this time.
Welcome here.
Khan is still open as well, and that could be a big one for them. And Nara has a lot of things to worry about in that case. Makoa actually still open there. I can't believe we missed that one. Part of it is the Grok being banned out this time around. People very aware of that, and Grok a very power pick on console. Let's be honest, it can take over the game for sure. Victor answering a little bit. He's more of like poke-oriented Vivian. I don't think he can quite go toe-to-toe with that character, especially when you factor in things like Sentinel, extra damage on top. You factor in the reflector damage or reflector shield mitigation, and that character just kind of can't keep up. And they're going to be able to grab themselves probably a late Khan here.
They do.
And just grab another Saris, and I think they're comfortable. I think they're ready to go with this. I think Saris plays, or Victor plays close enough to Vivian that that's not a hard switch if that's going to be what it is. And Talus clearly respect banned in game number 1, but it sneaks through here, and that's got to be kind of the big linchpin and bring things in favor of Aaron.
And, I mean, on the opposite side, though, as well, I mean, you have Inara, you have Ashe, you have Damba. I mean, those are 3 high-priority picks as well. Rounding out their lineup. One more damage dealer most likely here. Be interesting to see which route they choose to go. Bomb King it is. So Bomb King Ernest doing damage against them in the previous game. Now going to be doing damage for them here. Bright Marsh is map number 2. I think you liked Ehrenmanner's lineup.
Yeah,
is that where you
especially
go?
like when I'm picturing like a King Bomb rolling in. I'm looking at Khan. I'm looking at Makoa, who both have ultimates where they can just say, I don't care about this ultimate anymore. I'm looking at Talus, who can just rune a travel out. So this Bomb King could miss very, very theatrically and spectacularly. So got to keep your head on straight if you want to find value in this game.
Well, they're going to look to find some value in the course of a win. Stush Gaming looking to answer back here on Bright Marsh. But to tell us about it, let's send it on down to your casters.
Thanks, guys. Well, it'll be time to see if the Bright Marsh map can change the dynamic here. It is a faster map in general. When you start to get yourself going, it's hard to stop. That's for sure.
And there's a couple of picks on this map that I really, really love. I actually love Bomb King on this map, but very much on what Nick was saying. There's not a lot that he's going to be able to lock down on his own. He's going to need that facilitation. Maybe a seismic crash to kind of help get it up, but I mean, you're going to have a Talus, you have a Makoa, you have a Khan on the other side. Like, the other 2 picks don't even matter, let alone the fact that one's a Victor, which is one of the higher priority picks on console. Like, there's just so much damage and control from Ehrenmanner that they need something like that to get them going.
Yeah, good stuff from Stush, already finding the damage there, so that's going to help things out. Ehrenmanner finally lose their 2 front lines, which seem to be so difficult for Stush to do in the final game of, in the last game of Stoke. 36% counting. Should have some potential to zone, but the cleanliness of that wipe means that Ehrenmanner will probably have one more chance to push as a full unit of 5. Gotta find some damage here with the grenade. Don't get much. Reset coming back up in about a second, so throwing it in there, and it does get a lot of damage, and that's the kill. So Chico falls. And now this is an important moment.
Kind of surprised not to see the second follow-up grenade potentially go for the Inara, but she's still incredibly low, which means you can stagger her out, but you do have to be able to collapse on her. She's gotten the healing in the back line. Talus has gone around.
Wow.
And Ernest has the prioritizing target, but unfortunately one Talus is not enough to burn through her health bar.
Very close, though, and really that Warder's Field helped to just stall it out. Nice CC immunity timing there. Make sure she doesn't get hooked off. She has to stay alive. The Inara is so crucial in getting that stun, that time, really stalling out the timer. Again, the Warder's Field just denying the approach, but Makoa says, well, I could bring you over here. So he grabs the hook, and still the Inara so tanky with the Namba healing her up. The Seismic Crash is ready too, and there is the Convergence. The shield blocks most of it, but Klax goes down, and Nico's gonna find another one. The wall off to secure it, and this should be it unless something magical happens, and Unlimited fails running in on the Victor. Is this going to be enough? He seems to have Nico in a bad spot.
And they're trying to chase him down, and Ernest is going to be the one who locks down the kill. Now they just have to burn through this Inara's health bar, which with 3 members looking at her, they can do it. It's just going to take a little bit there. They finally get the kill, a couple of grenades, and no one's actually going to block the Ashe. Ashe actually just gives that up. I feel like she could have shoulder bashed into the point and held onto it, but Beanie's respawned, V-Clax's respawned, so it would have been met with a lot, kind of a wall of front lines, I guess, is a better way to put it.
Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, these teams make these calls that, you know, maybe it was just to fall back and regroup, because Bright Marsh, like we mentioned, it's a snowball map. You can essentially win very quickly and then find yourself down 2-0 before you even blink. Nice assert dominance there. Just find a little bit of stabilization. And plenty of time to charge that ult back up. Gonna try and push Ehrenmanner back as far as possible.
And being able to get a couple kills like that immediately afterward, like this is exactly what you need out of that ult. Like if that ult goes through and Ashe just buys a little bit of contesting time, it means literally nothing. It just means, okay, cool, you use your ult and we're going to kill you 8 seconds from now.
Exactly.
Being able to find the 2 kills, one onto the Makoa, one onto the Talus, in a couple streaks, force them back to the base. Yeah, they have 300 credits to spend, but admittedly, it just buys you time. Now a minute and a half. Still a long time to defend on Bright Marsh. And you have to be able to keep your Inara alive. You have to keep yourself alive as Bomb King. You can't take these 1v1s and lose them like that.
No, you cannot. Unlimited fails. Beautiful job there, contributing to the damage. And Ehrenmanner looking to continue just the wave of pressure. And this is a nice little stagger here. Sometimes you don't see teams play with this level of confidence, and it seems like it is starting to shift the way of Ehrenmanner in this set more consistently here. Finding success, the barrage is available, so through that window, it could be a deadly burst of 1,400 damage a pop if they are not careful.
Looking for the long-range grenades. That time Unlimited fails will not be able to hit the second one because the base doors. Talus going to go up and feared into the wall, and now Bomb King's in a perfect position to be able to come down. Going to go in for the King Bomb and makes it over the Inara wall.
Got to get the Ceres if you can, and he does. Shadow Travel must have been used. Great double kill from Nico, but is it going to be enough? There's still 2 big boys there, and Khan, he is the worst front line to support this Makoa, because not only does he have damage, he's got that throw, and he's got some healing. So it is the one front line that can actually help sustain the both of them. That shell shield's going to go up. They should find the hit there, and now the rest of the team is here. Oh, but they lose him. Double kill here from the Vivian, and that is a huge weight off the shoulders of Stush Gaming. And just the Sentinels to come up, that will not end until those are killed off of her. So he's going to take those Sentinels into the next round.
There were so many things that are enlightening and confusing about the end of that round. The fact that you have such a great Bomb King ult go off, and then the Makoa on the other side ends up with a triple kill, like that just shows Stush, in my eyes, that they got that ult, but it was more of a surprise play. They didn't truly expect it. There wasn't as much follow-up to keep going, or no one was focusing the front lines, pulling them away, because immediately Nico was taken down. But then, right after that call, I like the aggression onto the Inara. I feel like you could have fallen back just a little bit, gotten your team to come through, and then push one more time in overtime. And it's just that small decision-making of do we stay or do we go that both front lines, like you said, they're there, they have the capability. It was just unfortunate scenario because of the respawn proximity from Stush.
Right, like you get a couple kills, you could back off at that point. I mean, your team, meet up with your team, get that full heal from Saris. It felt like the Makoa did take a little too long. I don't know if I like this angle. I mean, finally, he's going to drop at least one from the barrage, but boy, oh boy, Unlimited Fails didn't see everyone. At least it forced them into a corner and kept them at bay. Not a lot of point percentage captured from that, but Nico getting a little aggressive, but it's a trade out with the support, and that usually is the right call to make as a damage dealer because that support just augments everybody else on that team.
And admittedly, once you get back, you're going to be able to have that same presence. Like, everyone's low health bar is going to take way more immediate effect. They will die faster than you will be able to come back and do damage, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be able to displace that healer a lot more importantly. King Bomb almost charged up as well. If you can get a couple more bombs, potentially on Ernest here before going down, that could charge up.
There you go.
Locked in a corner, pincered essentially by Ehrenmanner.
Yeah, and I think their composition has too many ways to attack the back line of Stush Gaming right now. The Moldamba, not as much under pressure, but it's really wherever we see BK running, there's an angle for him to be attacked. I like this assert dominance. It keeps you alive. It'll give maybe Damba some time to respawn, but it's a better commander's grab. It just throws her out of the circle. I mean, that's just great play from Beanie. And at this point, the shield may fall. We've got the Vivian, as we know. It's one of the best characters of getting rid of those pesky shields. But at the end of the day, he will make it out alive, and so will the Saris.
You know, after watching that and thinking about it for a second, I don't know if that was the intended landing area, I guess, of that assert dominance, but I think it worked out almost as well, except for the fact that, again, both front lines, the hook and the commander's grab on the side of Ehrenmanner, are going to be able to displace you. I feel like that was a, I need to get to the point, let me jump over there, and then I bonked my head. And, well, I happened to land and stun two front lines. I guess I'll take it. Like, it's not the end of the world. Whether you meant to or not, it's going to look incredibly good, but unfortunately, it kind of left them for naught on the side of Stush, and now you can kind of feel it, I want to say, impacting this push. Before, they were able to use that ult, get a couple kills early on, buy themselves a minute and a half time of defense. Now that payload's still rolling.
Yeah, and it is. Unlimited Fails having a very strong KDA this game as well. Let's see how the Wreckers are kind of starting to be invested into on the side of Stush Gaming, as we've seen the Con, Beanie, throwing up that shield and getting more and more consistently melted. There you see Vivian and the BK on record 2 each. So this is going to be a very rough situation. Beanie's going to lose a lot of that sustain. However, right now he's still got the healing from Beacon 1, and that's going to support him. Unlimited Fails with another couple of kills. It should be an easy push. And it is. It's almost a mirror of what happened last game on Stone Keep.
Being able to come into this round around the same time as well. So
yeah,
the defending, the fights, they're going well, but you look at the slash lines and you start to understand where things are going wrong. Thompson is 1 and 8 on the small Damba. You have 1 and 6 on the Inara, 1 and 8 on the Ashe. There's just a lot of good control coming down. And admittedly, it kind of helps when you have a 14-1 and 9 Victor that is just doing so much damage. But it also comes down to the fact that they are focusing out the support very early on, and that's where Ernest has been. Like, it's that fight, yes, sometimes he finds himself locked into 1v1 with this Bomb King, but most of the time he's going back just to kill off the Moldamba and then teleport to wherever because everyone's going to fall at that point.
And that's kind of been the issue, right? The pressure from Ernest starts to eventually be something Stush aren't comfortable with. They like playing this sustained game. You could tell when Ernest was not being aggressive, both teams kind of stared at each other. That seems to be what Stush like as their prerogative. And especially with the Inara, that's what it supports. But at this point, because Ernest is getting into these advanced angles and having the ability to route of travel back, get Battle Shout healing, get back into that fight, everyone else is giving a little bit of something so that Ernest can go and be aggressive. Nice route of travel, and he's going to pressure out the Vivian. His shield is melting, but he decides, I mean, I don't need to do anything here. I don't want to risk my life. We've already got the advantage.
And that's twice he's done something that, admittedly, like on paper, it doesn't look like it results in something immediate. But the beginning of that round, he goes for the Moldamba, and you might think, oh man, this is a failed flank. He didn't kill the Moldamba. He pushed that Moldamba so out that no one was there to heal that Inara. The same thing goes for that Vivian.
Battle Shout, does he have it? No, he's looking for the stun, but the Inara's already thrown away. And then the Battle Shell buys him time and damage immunity so that Unlimited fails can clean it up. It feels like unlimited successes from him, and a little bit of a mixer shout out as well from Ehrenmanner. They take game number 2 in the exact same fashion as they took game number 1. So pretty crazy start to this day for Ehrenmanner. Seemed to be slow rolling, but still definitely dominating Stush.
And it's just those small moments where it's like, okay, cool, like you captured this point, like the fight was going back and forth, and admittedly with those compositions, that's what I expect at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But then you get pushed back by an Ashult, and you're like, okay, well, you know what, maybe we cede a little bit of room, and we'll just come back stronger next round.
Composition's looking strong, play looking strong. Ehrenmanner looking strong to start this thing off. Let's send it back to the desk to break it down.
Thank you very much, guys, and welcome back to the desk after game number 2. And I think Evan said it best on that one, and it's just that Ehrenmanner's finding the way to win, the same way to win, as game number 1, in that it was just such an offensive powerhouse that Stush just hasn't found a way to deal with it yet.
They have a lot of really great moments, I think, the way that they control the battlefield, and the fact that it's almost like it shows you what's going to happen in round number 1. The fact that Stush Gaming get to their ultimates first, use them on the point that they were already in the lead on, and still lose, that is a very scary thing to have happen to me. Like, and in my opinion, I think if that happens to you, we see so many teams that, like, the first guys that get to their ultimates, and if they're in lead, like, that's got to be close to a 99% chance that you're going to be capturing that point. And the fact that Ehrenmanner can still flip that, still stay in control of that one, is just nutty. And of course, we talked about how Victor and Viv have somewhat of a similar paradigm what they're going to be looking to do.
It helps when you have Unlimited Fails, who I think was 17-1 in that game.
Oh my God,
and I
21
think
point, you're right.
he had, I think, 30,000 more damage than anyone else, according to the damage charts there. And again, that's just such an offensive threat. It was just too much damage, really, I think, to deal with. I mean, it was sort of honestly the same story as last game, where Stush kept it close. They got a nice defense to start things off, 1-1, and then Ehrenmanner just steamrolls the last 3 points. And game 1, it was the Bomb King coming out, Ernest on the Bomb King, doing huge things. Game 2, it was the Victor just being a thorn in the side the entire time. You wonder maybe map number 3 is something like a split stone quarry, maybe a frozen guard, maybe something that slows it down a little bit. Maybe,
and I think a big part of, like, anytime a Victor or like supports are getting those like massive like 15 to 30 streaks, it's a good bit to do with, I think, their front line owning as well. Like, they have Makoa Khan, which is incredibly strong. And then they have Talus as well, which serves a purpose of being very aggressive because of just the way Rune of Travel works. You can go get in really stupid spots, right? And then you can just blink right out and heal at the same time, right? So the fact that Ernest is getting very aggressive and he's got this Makoa Khan making space for him, that one death was when Bomb King poppy bombed over this like iron wall of death that was his front line to get to Saris and Victor. That was actually a really nice play, by the way. That was a great moment, and that was the only time I think either of those characters died.
Yeah, it certainly helps. Team game, team all doing their job. Jaguar Falls is what Stush Gaming is going to answer back with here on map number 3, so nothing necessarily out of the ordinary on their side. I mean, it's hard to call it a draft issue. Is anything that you maybe have seen missing from Stush Gaming's drafts that you maybe would like to see, or maybe a certain ban, or just more of the same, they just need to change their play style?
I think the Vivian is definitely a heavyweight thing that is, it's good that it's banned out now. I think Grover, if he's banned, I think he was banned last game as well, so if he's banned again, that could be something that makes them a little bit uncomfortable. But the more, I think, aggressive front lines, not picking Makoa and Khan when Inara, I don't think Inara carries quite the same weight on console as she does on PC for me. I really kind of like those aggro front lines a little bit better when it comes down to console.
Grover does come out, though. I know that's sort of wishy-washy. I mean,
and
obviously
that can still be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's one of the highest priority healers. I mean, for a reason. He has the impact. Potentially not finding the impact that he's been looking for up to this point. But the Makoa Victor on the side of Ehrenmanner, I mean, that's a tough 1-2 punch to deal with there. They get the Leon, so we see Leon come out for the first time today. Inara as well. They go back to it. I know you're kind of iffy on the Inara as well.
I don't love Grover with Inara, right?
Right.
I like that constant Damba, Saris, pretty much almost anyone else, right? Grok, Pip, Grover, that very big AoE burst, long cooldown. I don't think synergizes well with the Inara. I think I like that constant stream of flow of throughput. They do get the con, which is definitely, I think, a good step in the right direction. I'm very curious to watch the Strogos, though. That's the big thing. That's been banned out a lot. They finally let it through, and it's on Jaguar Falls.
So I think it's Stush who's been banning it away. I think they are the ones. I can't remember exactly. Maybe it's been 1-for-1. But Ehrenmanner has been, I think, looking for the Drogos, and they finally get it here on Jaguar Falls. And Droxus coming out as well, so that's a bit of an unorthodox pick.
Yeah. And it looks like they may have tried to walk Ehrenmanner into this Strogos pick, right? They pick early Leon, they get the Khan as well, and then they last pick Androxus. So they have 3 hit scan threats to try and keep the Strogos on a leash. Granted, I think Ehrenmanner still have a really, really strong aggressive front line. But again, it is Jaguar Falls, so Inara, I think this is one of her best maps. You can net yourself with a good wall, 20 to 30% on the objective easily. So I think I like both of these comps the best, and I'm excited most for this game.
Well, on one side you got Andro, on the other side you got Drogos. 2 things to look out for. But to look out for game number 3 on Jaguar Falls, we're going to send it on down to the casters.
Andro versus Drogos. You could actually combine their names into Androgos, which could be like if Drogos and Andro ever threw their DNA into some kind of molecular chamber.
New champion
pop out
is one of the only champions that will dual wield.
Yes.
One side revolver, one side rocket
launcher. And definitely can fly. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Can fly and has slow fall.
Yeah.
Actually, just probably generically flies at that point.
Just as a flying champion all the time, right? Nice stuff already. Good damage, tries to get the dash, and maybe running a little bit of healing on the dash, which is why we might see him doing that, or just going for the maneuverability and the speed. And we do see Abyss Walker, so he's getting some sustain, so some of those dashes not going anywhere, but just healing him up. He's now trying to take the roundabout, and this is a little aggressive. They smell it, and like I said, this is aggressive. Now he's stuck. He's dead. I mean, there's no way. There's no way. Ernest cleans him up. That was, I think, the good change of pace where we saw Stush Gaming not being so aggressive earlier on core, but it doesn't work out there. But it's the right idea in my opinion.
And honestly, that reversal, if it goes one way or another, if there's a little bit more charge in it, that turns into a kill. Like, you still pay off for that kind of flank. Or if there's just one slight more dash, right, where you're able to get around the wall one more time. Unfortunately, it was just the kind of back and forth trying to get that peak that didn't work out too well. And of course, the one thing that stands out to me, Androxus in this matchup is the hunter for Drogos, but I haven't seen Drogos fall.
And Drogos now just killed Andro, but Andro in a nice reversal onto Ernest, so he got some payback there. Unlimited fails now finding some damage in. And one of the things that we have to talk about is the mechanical difficulty in playing Androxus. I mean, on console, it is not an easy champion. The Battle Shout's going to kind of stave off the Dragon Punch for now, at least. But it still is going to be Ehrenmanner who find this first objective. Ernest finding another kill. The God Slayer looking to be slain, but maybe he'll make it out just in time. He will, even though he's still getting shot at from a distance. Ernest has been pretty unstoppable on this Victor, and so at this point, this is looking like a pretty dominant start to the game for Ehrenmanner.
I mean, you're comfortable on front lines that you're very, very happy with. Yes, you trade out the Khan this time around, but you grab up the Ashe, which I admittedly in this kind of scenario, I think is going to work out better for you. Because Vclax is feeling himself on this Makoa. You're going to be able to get aggressive as Beanie now, which is providing all this space for this Victor, for this Drogos. Like, if Andro makes it by, they have 2 people who are going to collapse on him. Unfortunately, this time around, though, he makes it by and he gets the support.
Yeah, and right here you're trying to see, obviously, the moment where Androxus takes Drogos down. And does happen, but it's been too far and few for it to really prove to be the successful pick that I think they were hoping for. Andrew's really been trying to find his rhythm, and that's difficult when you pick a champion like this. But right now, Ernest could be in trouble. A couple shots coming through. Double kill for Ernest as well. Must have been a grenade. And they're going to continue on with the push.
This Androxus has, I think, the biggest carry potential. It's one of those weird champions, right? Where as of right now, like, I wouldn't say he's in the meta.
Right.
But we saw Envy play him on Friday. We're now seeing Stush kind of maybe take a page out of that because it's on this Jaguar Falls against the Drogos as well. but he has such a high carry potential for someone who is, I want to say, undervalued.
Yeah, absolutely, Gore. I'm just trying to figure out what Khan thought he was doing over there, because that was not going to...
He's hanging out.
That was not going to work. There was a Makoa ready to go. I think this is a Dragon Punch getting lined up. It is. He's going to go for the support. Find the Inara instead, which seems to be the best target anyways. And this is a 2-0. It's looking like the momentum has shifted dramatically. This time around, instead of doing the 1-1 thing, they take it right to the cake. And a beautiful fire spit combo here. We're seeing a lot of good Drogoz plays coming through from Unlimited Fails. Just a good day from him overall.
And this is like probably, again, I feel bad every time I bring this up, but like a year ago, imagining any of these players picking up a Drogoz was outlandish. Just because no one wanted to play. Maybe go a little further back than a year, because I feel like during the championship they proved themselves.
Right.
But like being able to pick it up and make it look this smooth is something that I feel like Ehrenmanner, like that's a big pat on your back moment, because it's just being able to bring that champion and what he brings. That's the reason they push that round so easily. He just gets rid of the Inara.
I mean, you know, coming from PC, when I play console with Drogoz, I have to, you know, find that little booster jump, right? Because typically jumping isn't as impactful for a lot of other champions. So Drogoz, it's your boost, is how you're staying in the air all the time. You have to make sure that that feels good. It's not for everybody, and let's put it that way. It takes a little bit of talent or a little bit of special approach there, and right now the special approach is all on the side of Stush Gaming. Unlimited Fails trying to get up. He has the thrust, but it's too late, so the rain. And Stush Gaming are going to have a chance at this point. Good stagger here onto Beanie, and good stagger onto Vcon 1, but was it? Oh my god, too late. Did he get it out? Excuse me, did he get out? And it looks like he did. The support stays alive, so that might have been a crucial mistake, Gore.
I mean, now being able to come through, if you can get rid of this Androxus, you're going to set your team up for success, but no, you eat the reversal and you miss your shot to get the kill, and he's going to be coming around. He's hunting for you this time around, but he doesn't get aggressive enough. That was another moment, a small bit of hesitation, and it costs either you or the other your life.
Oh my god, the assert dominance lands. Look at the flag, it's on the point. How did that not touch? Oh man, he's going to be mad at that one, but anyone who's played Paladins long enough knows that, you know, sometimes the toes don't count. And that time it did not count. Stush Gaming find the objective, Gore, even though Ehrenmanner seemed to and would have most assuredly taken it back over with control if the assert dominance had triggered the overtime. Unfortunate stuff there.
And sometimes it's just a small bit of timing. I mean, you have to remember how fast a tick, I guess, goes through in the game.
It was comeback mechanic,
and
too.
You have the comeback mechanic, you have the game tick. Like, if you're in the air for that last tick, you're not there. Unfortunately enough, you can land right before it captures, technically, but the payload already, or the point, I guess, already decided you weren't there.
That's probably what it was. That's probably what it was. Just the fact that right before he landed, that 4% tick through, and unfortunate there. And what most likely I would expect to see is this defense hold up, because it doesn't feel like they've lost any of their momentum. A couple of misplays there coming through from the Makoa, shooting in the reversal, and then the reversal hitting, forcing that defensive approach when it could have been a kill early, and then Makoa heading to the point to start contesting. Those things will get ironed out, I'm sure. Dragon Punch ready for Unlimited Fails. Still a minute gone by, but the payload has not moved.
Yeah, I expect this to pretty much stay as a stalemate. That seismic crash is actually surprising to me, but that is honestly still just trying to say we need to get this rolling.
Yeah.
Like, we have a minute left. You just said it. We need to get moving. This payload has not left the point, let alone being able to get there. And that's the kind of performance. That actually right there, when you think about it, there are 3 hit scan champions on the side of Stush.
It's a lot.
And this Drogoz has been living through a lot of scenarios. That's the same thing that happened at the beginning of the round, right? Where it was finally, there's an Andro on one side, a Leon on one side, and a Khan on the other. Like, there are 3 sides covered.
Yeah.
You're not making it out of there.
Right.
And it's felt like it's taken so long for Stush to not even, like, recognize that, but to get into position to make that work.
Totally, and that's the difficulty of this, because it cannot, you know, things like this scale with skill, with experience, and with map as well. You know, some maps you can have all the hit scan you want, but the angles that the prey, so to speak, can play, in this case Drogoz, it just doesn't open himself up to be as vulnerable as some other maps. Jaguar Falls has some nice angles where he doesn't have to be as exposed, can still hit some good fire spits here, but he misses that one, and that could be the difference maker here. We thought it might be a stalemate core, but this one is forcing some ults because they're getting real close. Battle shot from Khan, but he's going to get close enough to find the Inara, and will that be enough?
I mean, the shots are still coming through. It's going to be the boxing match of the ages. Can Andro find him? No, Ernest is going to be able to save the day just in time, and now they're going to be able to get rid of that tree. And unfortunately for Leon, she was so far away. Nice shots
Yeah.
from Unlimited Fails at the end to be able to get that. But I will say, as nice as that looked, I'm not sure I'm going to be 100% behind as many ults as they dropped.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of ults dropped for sure. The Overpower, the Accursed Arm, and the Whirlwind now available for Stush. Whereas you'll see the Convergence and the Assert Dominance for Ehrenmanner. I think that last fight in the room, it's not every day where both teams commit to fighting in that dark room.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little odd to see both teams all go there, and the chaos means that you give yourself this chance to where anything can happen. I don't know if they want that if they're Ehrenmanner. They have a clear advantage in their lineup so far. 3-1. This is the point that could end the set if they take it.
We'll see if we get a merry-go-round or no. It looks like it's going to be another head-to-head
Again.
in the dark room. Although, Stush are actually going around a little bit different side. They're not going to full commit in here. And unfortunately, that means that when the Rain gets hooked, he's going to be alone.
I don't know, man. Nice flank. It's an interesting level of commitment to this room. And these teams are now playing off each other, right? It's not really playing the meta. He hit the fire spit, and what you'll notice about that is that it will actually do 1,100 damage per rocket now because he's got a 30% damage bonus based on those who are hit by that Lugia. I don't know exactly how long it lasts. It's around 4 seconds, 4 to 6 seconds, but it is incredible the amount of damage. It's essentially a Torvald bubble that Drogoz can apply to himself for a little while. It's just so much easier and so much more confirmable to explode that fire spit for that damage, though.
See, this is where things are going awry. If you look at the percentage, it's 93 to 18. Ehrenmanner won a little bit of a fight, but they've been losing the point capture the entire time because they gave comeback mechanic back. This is why I was actually saying I didn't want to see any of those ults used. I didn't want to see anything used at the end of the round. I'd rather it go 2-2 if I'm Ehrenmanner and keep it on even because we've been winning every single even fight if you're on that team. But you used 3 ults to just stop a push and give them comeback mechanic again. They win the point fight the second time. And now I'm wondering if they're going to be able to do it at this point again. Charge up your ults, win a fight. But if you have to, let it go in, tie it 3-3, and just risk it all on the last point.
Yeah, I think it's just, we're seeing why you don't take that dark room fight as a team like that in the jumble, because you can't predict what's going to happen. It's like, as a highest level player, what you try to do is minimize a lot of the RNG of a situation, and what's happening is that not only are they not minimizing that, they're also allowing an easy flank. They're not cutting off any channels for their backline. You saw the Androxus literally get into their backline. He was behind every single member. If you hold off left and right, you're not able to allow people to get into that backline. The Drogoz can play from the sky, and you can also maneuver left or right depending on the situation. So I think it's a matter of fight adjustment and how you're taking it, but they've still got time to spare. The game won't end here. If they push it through, it'll be 3-3, and they've still got 1 minute and 30 seconds for this to happen. With Unlimited Fails cleaning up the Grover, it looks like they'll have even more time.
A lot of damage onto Unlimited Fails, though. And that's the thing that's been bouncing back and forth. Again, with a Leon, with a Khan, with an Andro, I don't expect him to be up in the air as long as he's been able to manage, so that's impressive from him, or that's a downside for Stush. Whichever way you want to look at it, it's really going to be like just however you slice that one. But the one thing that's missing from these fights is not only them cutting off a path for the flank, but normally we see teams separate, and that's kind of what you're getting at. Like, everyone on Ehrenmanner is just running into the room on the side, the dark room, looking over the cliff, and that time around, they were literally locked in on all 3 entrances. There was an Inara on one, an Andro on the other, and everyone else on the third. So if you're going around in that kind of scenario, not only are you locking yourself off, but Andro can't fly away. Or not Andro. Drogoz can't fly away, can't keep himself safe. Victor can't really get anything from in there alone. Like, you need a little bit more room to work and a little bit more room to breathe. Yeah, and I know we're cutting the V-Clax on some bad moments for him, but needs to step that up with this Makoa, whether it's just being aware of how dangerous it actually is to go and pressure that Leon, or just hitting more shots, being a little bit more aggressive. I don't know what needs to adjust from him, but he is not taking advantage of that first pick the way we saw in the first round. It has kind of been a little lackluster since then. Dragon Punch is ready. They've had to use it on the defense nearly 2 times now, but he's going to be able to hold it, luckily. And if they can just get a hook to start off, if they can find the Grover, this is going to be a much easier fight for them. And they've already made it a lot easier just coming into this round because they're going to have their ults available. They're going to be prepared. Like, that kind of play won't be able to work because of the Ancient Rage. Like, it's going to be a lot more difficult to control Ehrenmanner this time around. And that's what I wanted to see coming into last round. This time they get the best of both worlds. They keep their ults and they get the defense instead of having to eat one or the other. And I'm looking, I mean, if this barrage can connect, we saw a couple last game that did not quite click all the way. But if barrage can click, and if this Dragon Punch can find a big target, I think the game can be very much won from the beginning here.
I think so. I think they have an opportunity here. I think Stush realistically also has an opportunity to win this game. And although Ehrenmanner has been dominating, this has been these last 2 rounds have not given me a lot of hope. I think they need to adjust this point fight. I like the adjustment here, at least going in with the Dragon Punch immediately. Up into the air goes the Androxus, but he finds the target he came for, which is the Inara. And now the Andro could be in trouble. Good convergence as well. It's going to pull him back. And that, I mean, this is great play. Good use of the ults, and they got aggressive. Now they can start to zone out. They're going to get kills off of the aggressiveness, but they did not kill the Grover, and he's been a little sneaky. We'll see if they can come back now.
The thing that I think is the downside, you don't get rid of the support. The upside, you push them so far back that you have a lot of control. 60% in Rising for Ehrenmanner. And you keep the barrage. You keep your Ancient Rage. You keep your assert dominance. Like, even if you lose control of the point fight, you don't really lose control.
Oh, good stun. But is he going to be able to use the overpower? You know he wants to get the Ashe off, and that's what he's going to do. So she's going to fall off, 99% and counting. The rain is back onto the point, and Vklax here with the Ancient Rage. So the Commander's grab misses, will not connect anyways, and there's the Battle Shout for the extra sustain. But Vcon1 is in the corner, 27% and counting, and this just is bad news for Stush Gaming because they cannot leave this point.
I mean, Drogo's dancing around in the sky. You have a Makoa dancing on the side with Aceres behind him, doing whatever they can, but the barrage is ready. The barrage is available, and I expect that to play a big role.
I agree, too. Barrage plus a salvo, that's a lot of damage. And now the barrage comes out. He knows he's already found the kill and needs to run away just to maneuver, but Chico is in the back line. Nico Noob finds another kill. Will this be Stush Gaming pulling it back?
Doing whatever they can at this point. Nico, maybe too aggressive, but going to be able to fall back, find a lot of damage, and they're keeping Khan. But the knockback!
Oh, wow. Wow.
I don't know if he was running any extra knockback on that, but just seeing a Khan in front of an Ashe go boom into the sky is not usual. You would think at least some of the armor could weigh him down.
You would think. But the man is more agile than you would assume. He's a lightweight underneath the armor. But Ehrenmanner, they're going to take the win for sure. That was a nice display of good adjustments to the team fights. Wasn't their most clean map, but at the end of the day, they got the job done, which is the most important thing. So let's send it back to the desk. Set 1 goes away of Ehrenmanner to start off the day.
Set 1 in the books. Ehrenmanner get win number 2 in the books. Drogos played a big role in that one. I know that Stush Gaming had pretty much targeted it out. Target banded out. Target banded out throughout the rest of the set. And it comes through, and it was surprising seeing that because you had 3 hit scan champions on the side of Stush, but regardless.
Still hung in there for sure. And Drogos has always had a little bit of that element of like, yes, I get countered on paper by a lot of things, but in practice, you don't always have that window of opportunity. You don't always have line of sight. And Jaguar Falls has definitely been one of those maps, and especially doubly so back when Combustible was the meta. You didn't really ever have a lot of line of sight time on Drogos. So he's a character when played properly, you can make it work against matchups that are tougher on paper for you. But Ernest, again, 19-5, he does such a good job at going off, and it's not in the same way that Talus made space for unlimited fails, but I feel like this Drogos was really the focal point of what the of what Stush Gaming wanted to take out. So again, Ernest kind of falls to the wayside this time, and no one's really hunting him down.
Yeah, I mean, just pouring out damage. I mean, he did. Actually, it's interesting. It was unlimited fails on the same Victor in the previous game making the headlines, and then they flip-flop it, give him the Drogos, and now Ernest is the one on the Victor. I mean, showing some flexibility there from the members on the side of Ehrenmanner, and you know, that goes a long way, and finding them a win here. I mean, it was a very convincing 3-0 win for them.
It comes back to that conversation of it almost doesn't matter who or what even plays Victor. You just sort of plug Victor in, and then get a strong, spearhead around him to just make space, and he's going to do the damage. And that's an even further conversation of you get that strong map control and frontline presence. What does it matter if it's a Vivian or a Victor or a Leon or a Cassie? What does it matter it's doing the damage if they're not being bothered at all? They're not being pressured, and they're just hitting all of their shots.
Well, they find themselves a nice 3-0 win here. Let's take a quick peek at the updated standings after our PS4 EU are in the books. Looks like Flashpoint off broadcast found themselves another win, 4-0 11 map
Raise your
plus
hand if you're
minus. So
surprised.
iTech took a map off of them going into this week. They were 0-9
Oh, yeah, you're right.
or 9-0 on maps. iTech find themselves a map win, so that's at least something to look for. But Ehrenmanner put themselves up into second place
With
a
the
clean
cleanliness.
3-0
That's funny.
sweep. Stush Gaming find themselves on the bottom looking for their first win. But I mean, Ehrenmanner and Stush was the match that we just saw, but
Yeah.
Flashpoint, I think, is something that you have to look at and really consider. I mean, they are firmly in first.
Right.
They've dropped one map the entire split so far, and they're forced to be reckoned with. I think that's an
Absolutely.
understatement.
It's super important, especially when you're, looking for that just got to be the top dog. That's the way console works, and Flashpoint is going to be a tough one to take down.
Certainly going to be a tough one to take down, and that is going to be it for our PS4 EU for the morning. We're going to jump to a quick break, but when we come back, we have Team Viral versus Bust Down, so stick around.
Brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Res Studios, Evil Mojo, iNap, SteelSeries, Respawn.